later.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining MSP Xperience for the technical track for x360Recover automation on how you can take back your time with the product. So we have a couple subject matter experts today. Myself, Lee Fortson, Senior Product Manager for the x360Recover product.
And I'm Corey Hintz, the Sales Engineering Manager here at Axcient.
Right. Thanks, Corey. And today, what we'll be going over is, highlighting and showcasing the backup verification capabilities, along with some of the self-healing protected system configurations that you can do as well. And then we'll jump right into the business continuity and DR testing and show you the kind of automation capabilities there as well, and kind of go over and high level as much as we can. And then we'll be jumping next into the integration, all things integration, and what we do currently today and what we'll be doing in the near future. And then as well as our client-facing reports and how you can automate some of the things that you typically do with your clients with client-facing reports. And we'll be going over these pretty quickly. We have a lot of content to showcase in a short period of time. And we'll definitely have some open up for some questions later on. But we'll go over as detailed as we can. So the first thing we kind of wanted to highlight is the auto verification process. A lot of MSPs come up to us specifically for this particular capability. The auto verification process allows to save you time and people or resource time for something that you might currently do already, right? So for example, when you have backups that occur, they might already be taking manually these boot VM screenshots and creating reports either for internal purposes or for your clients. Well, this is all automated via a particular routine on a regular cadence and done while you're sleeping, right? And this allows you to take back your time for a typical process that you might have been doing in the past. We give a variety of different ways that you can actually access this information through the UI, as indicated here in these two screenshots, whether it's been passed, which level of the backup checks have been passed or failed. And then, they're divided between two different types of tests. There's a basic test and there's an advanced test. The basic test actually takes a boot VM screenshots. And then also, in addition to that boot VM screenshot, we take it a little bit further and we actually do we check for particular critical services to make sure they're up and running as well. And then, for example, a heartbeat check on your Microsoft BSS is also performed. Once these basic tests have been performed and done, there's an advanced test that's also done too, advanced check. And it does an actual check disk to ensure that you have good data integrity for that backup. So if there's something that goes wrong there's actually a self-healing that actually will take place on that check disk. And it'll do a scan and try to and self-heal that failure. So this is really important for the, taking back that time for your tech, and something that can ensure that not only are you taking backups, that you have good backups that you can actually restore from, and you actually have that proof, right? And then in addition to that auto verification, you will be using that also in our client-facing reports that we'll be going over later in this presentation, that you can also ensure that to your clients, as well as maybe even auditors, that you have good backups that you can recover from. Next one is local cache. So you're probably asking, what is local cache and why would you use local cache? Typically, a lot of MSPs leverage traditional appliance-based backups, but over the recent years, there's been an upward trend of using appliance-less particular backups. And the reason is because maybe your clients don't have the upfront cost or want to pay the upfront cost for those, and they have really good bandwidth. Well, the good thing with local cache, it actually can mimic and have some similarity of the recovery time if you did have an appliance-based backup. So a local cache is a copy of unique data blocks from your backup agent, so you can actually have that more faster recovery time without the need of that appliance. Typically, there's a couple ways that people leverage the local cache. Either you can store it to a directly attached USB, but most commonly, our partners are leveraging a NAS device, so you can have a secure login behind that as well. In this screenshot, you can actually see which ones have been set up. So for example, this D2C agent actually doesn't have D2C. It's not lit up in green. If it was green, as indicated with the protected system above it, that knows that the local cache health is good and everything is passed. If it's red, it means that there's something wrong with the local cache. And if it's gray, then kind of like a disabled state, that means you still need to set up. We do recommend setting up local cache for your D2C agent so you can take advantage of those quicker recovery times there for the D2C agent. Next up is something that it's a kind of a prerequisite to our #1 enhancement request, which is global policy management. And what we did is, there was no concept of retention policies similar to kind of having a backup policy for each protected system. Think about it when you went to each protected system and you had to drill into each one in the vault and actually configure each of those retention settings one by one. What we've done here is create the concept of a retention policy. Similar to a backup policy, you'll have the ability to actually add a retention policy and a default policy. So you see in this screenshot here, we've added this new column called retention. Previously, you just had the backup column where you would actually select the actual backup schedule or backup policy. Now you'll have the ability to actually configure a retention policy and set it for that protected system. It's huge time savings that you have to do, especially when you're onboarding X360Recover or if you're adding more and more clients over time. This is going to help speed up and save you and your tech's time. So what you'll see on the left-hand side, you'll see this policies module here, the section here, where you'll actually list the backup policies as well as the retention policies. This will list all the retention policies and also indicate whether they're default or not. You'll actually have the ability to add the policies there. And once you go to add the policies, you can add some type of description to kind of indicate a little bit more information that might be critical to distinguishing between the two retention policy or the retention policies you define. So you can set those based up on the different types as well as how you previously would modify those retention settings. And then also if you want to make that your default retention policy, you can do that there. So any new protected system that you add will inherit that default retention without having you to go into each one. So this is just a prerequisite of the global policy management that we'll be doing in a future update to X360Recover. And this will just help speed that up to where we can get that project underway. All right, so let's move on, and I'm going to hand it off to Corey to talk about Virtual Office.
Perfect. Thank you, Leaf. And welcome again, everyone. Really excited to have you all here with MSP Xperience, going over a lot of information today. So where I want to take this is I want to jump into the Virtual Office side of things. So for those of you that don't know, Virtual Office is going to be the offsite virtualization layer in the Axcient cloud. So this is going to be used to facilitate just a single virtual machine if you ever needed to, just a one-off use case if you need, or an entire an entire site containing 1 to 100 systems or more or less, all contained in the same Virtual Office instance in the Axcient cloud. So to navigate to Virtual Office, you would want to log into your partner portal, and you would want to click on a client on the left-hand side. And then navigate to the respective client that is needing to virtualize in the Axcient data center. And you're going to click on the recovery wizard, the orange button you see here in the middle of the screen. And that's going to walk you through a series of dialog prompts that are going to guide you through creating or provisioning your Virtual Office. Once that is done, in about 5 minutes or so, your Virtual Office is going to load up, and you see that here in the background image. It's going to show you a list of all of the individual systems contained in that Virtual Office. Again, that could be one system, that could be 100 systems, or less, whatever number you might need, depending on what scenario you might be having. And then from here, you can easily assign the amount of CPU cores you would like each individual virtual machine to have, or the amount of gigabytes per RAM, as you can see here, and simply just start those machines as needed. Furthermore, Leaf, on the next slide here, you have the settings for the Virtual Office itself. So this is where you're going to be able to get all of the background settings to contain gateway, subnets, multiple gateways if you need to, or multiple subnets if you have those kind of more complex networks. You also have a variety of other VPN options. So we have 3 VPN options to be exact. The first one here on the left, that's going to be your classic SSL-based VPN, your client-based VPN. That's going to be ideal for your remote workforce or perhaps a SOHO at the deployment, small office, home office type of scenario. And again, this is all going to be heavily dictated by what type of scenario you're actually going through. If you need to spin up just one individual machine or the entire site, obviously the process is going to be, it's going to dictate what type of connectivity you might need, depending on how many users you might have to get access to this. As far as VPN goes, we have two other VPN options. So we have two site-to-site based VPNs. One is going to be an open VPN protocol based site-to-site that is going to give you the ability to download a VHD or VNVK, a virtual disk. So you can easily spin that up in VMware or Hyper-V, and that's going to act as that site's site-to-site gateway to connect it to the virtual office network. Furthermore, if you have IPsec capable hardware, that is the preferred choice, just because that's just going to make getting your local network, if your local network still is intact. Of course, if you have a flood or a fire, obviously that scenario changes. But if you have to virtualize a select few amount of systems, using IPsec capable hardware is going to be the easiest, just because it's just going to act as a simple gateway to the Axcient virtual office and your local network. Furthermore, we have other offerings or features here. Going to be port forwarding. That's just very straightforward, simple. So with that, you can of course use RDP if you like. So if you have a terminal server you are spinning up inside a virtual office, or if you just want to RDP directly into the individual respective VMs contained inside of it, you have port forwarding here as well. There's no limitation on that. And once you enable port forwarding, it's going to very easily show you what your public IP address is. So you don't need to reach out to us to find out what that is. It's going to just show you in plain text, very easily to find that. And then lastly, we have DHCP. So if you are spinning up your own AD server or your own domain controller, that's more than likely going to be your DHCP server for that virtual network. If you aren't, no issue at all. You can have Virtual Office itself act as its own DHCP for you. On that note, if you are spinning up a Active Directory server contained in Virtual Office, you can actually, for the VPN option on the left, you'll notice there at the bottom section, it says users and the number 6. You can actually have that VPN authenticate to an AD server that you have running inside that virtual office with the same AD credentials and passwords that you were using before in your native environment. You can very easily just have those VPN clients authenticate with the AD server running right in virtual office. So virtual office is designed to be self-provisioned and self-deprovisioned. So you don't need to worry about reaching out to us or waiting for us to get back to you to provision this for you. It is incredibly easy to navigate on your own and do this entirely self-provisioned. Furthermore, I like to segue into runbooks. So with runbooks, Leaf, if you would please, next slide. This is going to be a way to pre-orchestrate that entire virtual office process I was just going over with you. So runbooks are a way to essentially script the entire virtualization process or virtual office provisioning itself. That is going to include selecting which individual systems you would like to include in that runbook, what kind of resources you would like to assign, CPU power, RAM allocations, boot priorities, boot delays, and all of the individual networking settings I was just showing you, port forwarding, the VPN options that we were going over, gateway, subnet, DHCP, all of those same exact options can be done proactively ahead of time, which of course has a lot of value to it. So you're able to do this again proactively instead of trying to figure this out or learn the process, which again, it's not hard, but things do get more complicated when you are running around with your hair on fire trying to figure out this DR scenario if you ever did have a real world issue that you needed to resolve. So again, runbooks is a very, very good time saver and a good point of automation for your entire DR scenarios that you might be having down the road. You are able to create as many runbooks as you like. So as you can see here, there are 3 runbooks created. I typically recommend creating at least 2 runbooks for the average client site. One is going to be used for your real world DR scenario. That's going to contain all of your mission essential systems. So if you had a site that had 20 servers, for example, and 15 of those happen to be mission essential, you could just very easily include those 15 systems in that single run book and go through the configuration process that I was laying out before. So CPU power, RAM allocation, boot priority, networking, port forwarding, all those kinds of things. And then creating a second or even a third run book for those secondary or even tertiary systems at that client site if you have the need to virtualize those as well. Furthermore, with virtual office and even more with runbooks, this really makes it easier and removes the barrier of providing DR testing. So what we've noticed is a lot of MSPs historically, just due to previous solutions they were using, or just having that process be very complicated, would not offer DR testing, true DR testing. A lot of them would just be looking for the screenshot verification, which is great. That's a great starting point. But to offer true DR testing of those systems actually running virtualized in the cloud offsite, and getting them all talking to each other, and then even more talking it back down to your local site or to your individual client locations, is a whole separate thing. So with this is going to potentially give you a new possible revenue stream as well. So if you didn't offer DR testing before, this is a very good potential revenue stream to offer that. That could be quarterly, that could be semi-annual, that could be annual, whatever time frame you really deem necessary to provide your clients true DR testing. And you're able to create your DR testing separate runbooks. So you can very easily toggle internet access to that entire virtual office if you wanted to. So typically for a DR test, you would not give it access to the internet. You just want to be sure that everything is going to talk to themselves contained inside their own virtual office, avoiding any kind of possible network collisions, IP collisions, things like that, by simply disabling outbound internet access. You can, of course, with a simple toggle, just enable outbound internet access if you would like it to. So you have a lot of flexibility here, a lot of peace of mind, and a lot of automation. And to create runbooks, as you can see here on the bottom, you have a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of next step. First step is going to be naming it. Second part is going to be adding which systems you would like to include in that runbook. And then third is going to be allocating the resources, RAM, CPU cores, boot priorities, those types of things. And then after that, it's going to be networking, VPN, port forwarding, gateway, subnet, all the same options I was showing you a few minutes ago. And then you just save it. And then you can just simply, whenever you need to run that runbook, you literally just navigate to this screen in your partner portal and just choose the selected runbook you would like, and then just click that single button. That's going to virtualize or automate the entire process for you. All you have to do is hit a single button, and it's going to run through virtualizing those 1 or 100 systems for you with a single click after that. So very, very powerful stuff. And again, if you have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out. We are more than happy to walk you through a one-on-one to be sure you are perfectly aware of what kind of capabilities are here, and even more how to use it and implement it in your DR playbooks. With that, I'm going to hand it back over here to Leaf to walk through some PSA integrations.
All right, thanks, Corey. So we kind of want to also highlight our integration capabilities as of today, and also some things that we'll be working on here in the near future. One of the common things we see partners want or need to do is that with any alert type of that you would have, such as a backup failure, typically you would probably work out of your inbox and you would see those. However, or you would actually maybe even see it through the UI. However, you probably live more in your RMM tool or your PSA tool. So in this case, for this PSA ticket integration, whether you use ConnectWise or Autotask, you can have those same alerts that were hitting your inbox or you're reviewing in the UI to actually hit the help desk and create tickets for your team to actually review a consolidated single place. They're already there. They're already going through ticket after ticket. They can apply time to it as they process those, categorize it as needed based on the different types of backup failures. So, for example, here I have the ConnectWise PSA configuration already configured. This will help automate those alerts to be driven over to your PSA and hit the particular help desk board that you have defined. So for this example, we have this ticket that was created. Your team would come here, review those on a regular cadence, and then process those tickets accordingly, right? Either processing it by triaging it, by putting particular types and subtypes and item types. And then also, when that particular protected system goes in place, you got some more additional automation. So maybe it failed for an unknown reason, and then the next time it tried to back up, it actually was successful. You have an auto close capability, which there's actually, you can map the close status for that. So if you have more than one close status and you're driving particular email notifications or whatnot, you can actually have that all configured as well with the integration. So once again, this will be available as today. It's been there for both ConnectWise and AutoTest, which are more common PSA tools that MSPs use. The next one we wanted to show is right now is the ConnectWise billing, right? So with ConnectWise, with the actual automation for the billing, we currently only have it for the appliance-based backups. So they're also only done by storage. However, when talking with our existing partners and also MSPs in general, we know that they want to be able to do this for all the protected systems, not just for appliance-based backups, also DDC. And then in addition to that, they want to be done exactly the way that they're billed from us. So it makes that reconciliation and that time that you take to manually update the quantity accounts on your agreement additions, go away. So it's a very painful process. I've seen partners and discussed them with, they showed me the process, and it's very time consuming. So what we've done here is there's a couple stages that we'll be doing in order to make this available. Is we're going to update how we map clients and Axcient x360Recover to the companies and ConnectWise. So for example, right today, you have to go drill into each client one by one to map that client. You no longer have to do that. There'll be a mapping screen on the org settings screen where you'll be able to map it. We will actually try to do a match as best as we can, but you'll still have to review those to ensure that it mapped correctly based on that first take, or you can actually go there and change those as needed. That was a prerequisite in order to be able to do the billing side and X360Recover. So there'll be a new column in addition to that mapping, which will be called ConnectWise Agreement, where once the mapping has occurred, now we know which agreements that particular company in ConnectWise has. And we'll pick the desired agreement for that and a screen that is going to look just like this. Once that's done, as you scroll down towards the bottom of the screen, there'll be an area where you can input the API credential information. This is where you'll map the particular way we bill our partners and by the different products. So for example, if you only use D2C, you would only map the agreement edition products for those only, right? But if you use a bundled server, bundled workstation, meaning if you have an appliance-based backup for a server or workstation that replicates to the Axcient cloud, you would map those as well. Maybe you have a mix of both, right? So there's a variety of different ways and products that Axcient provides, and you would just map those particular products with the agreement edition product in there. So it knows which agreement edition to update with the proper quantity amount, saving you time of going back and forth and ensuring you have the right one. You don't want to leave money on the table. Make sure you have the correct quantity. So whether it's less than what it should be or overcharging your clients, right? And this will just make the process much more seamless when you're talking with the finance team on reconciling these amounts. Next one we want to go over is the ConnectWise RMM and ASIO integration, right? So for anyone that doesn't know what the ASIO integration is, it's kind of their API platform to kind of make a single place to write to their APIs. Right now, if you want to integrate to each of those individual products, you would have to write to each product for the same particular information, maybe companies and contacts, right, for each individual product. Well, now with the ASIO platform, you just have to write to company and contacts just once. And it's going to be in a single platform that can talk to all the products versus having to do it to each individual product in the suite. The first one that they're incorporating this with, the ASIO, is ConnectWise RMM. So we have existing partners today that are leveraging this integration. This is out today, where they can easily have a guided setup to set up the API creds, any of the site mapping, so on and so forth, to get this going and make sure that the two products can talk to each other. This is going to give you the ability to actually sync over your protected systems over into ConnectWise RMM, where you can view the same similar information that you see in X360Recover without having to bounce between the two tools, right? So if you want to see the backup health, auto verify status, local cache state, which volumes you're protecting, this will all be displayed here without having to bounce between the two products, saving you some time, because you typically are going to be living in your RMM tool and you're typically going to live in your PSA tool, as previously mentioned. The nice thing about this is once that information is being synced over your ConnectWise RMM, is that it can also create tickets, right? So for example, if that alert was driven where previously maybe you had it synced over to your PSA, if you're using ConnectWise RMM and ASIO, you can actually have that create tickets within your RMM tool. And to take it up one more step with the automation is if you're leveraging, or if you wanted to leverage the ConnectWise NOC, now they have these tickets for these alerts, and they're equipped 24/7 to be able to handle and to resolve or remediate these particular alerts that have happened. So whether it's a failure on a critical server, they can come here and the early hours of the morning to be able to troubleshoot and to take the next necessary steps to remediate them. So that's another way where you can use automation with the ConnectWise RMM through the ASIO integration. Something that's going to be coming out in the near future is the ConnectWise RMM backup dashboard. So this is going to be a centralized kind of single pane of glass where you can see it all in one place. Any of the backup criteria for health when it comes to success and failures, any other pertinent information on like storage use over time, most maybe common types of alerts based on the companies, all critical information that you probably want to see without having to kind of the important information, so you can make really good data-driven decisions and really kind of go focus on those particular areas. So this is something that is coming out in the near future. It's not available now today, but this will be announced at a latter time when this will be made available. All right, this actually is transitioning over to our reporting section. So we want to kind of highlight a couple client-facing reports. And the first one we want to do is the Client Executive Summary Report. Mature MSPs or MSPs that are really successful and profitable, they've noticed that they were able to facilitate really effective quarterly business reviews. So when we started this project, we want to make sure that we highlighted the capabilities to be able, so you can easily facilitate the information that's on the report the way they can actually understand it. So that we give you the capability where you can actually have customization as far as the summary, as well as on the footer of the report as well. There will be a section on there where you can actually select an estimate internet speed, and you'll see this as we go over to the next slide. So this is page 1 and 2 of what the executive summary report would look like. This will be available to partners in the near and probably by the end of this month. It could be next week or the following week, where you'll be able to download and start using these the client executive summary report. So you can see information, that customized information here on the header of the report, as well as the footer. You'll be able to see the client health, you actually see that health, overall health for their protected systems, how much storage they're using maybe on their appliance, or if they're using local cache. All that will be highlighted where it'll be easily be able to facilitate those conversations with their clients to show the products, the value of your products and services that you have with your clients. Whether maybe you need to upsell them, maybe you're seeing a particular storage growth over time, or opportunities where you can not just highlight that value, but also upsell additional products and services that you have. And to go back to the estimated time to recover, we notate that with an asterisk that, based on that particular speed, here's the particular time that it would take for you to recover based on the storage size that you have. So this will actually show, hey, at this particular time, if a particular event occurred, we can get you up and running on your server within 0.2 hours based on the data that you guys have backed up. So this is our first version. We'll have future iterations on it. We'll have some additional automation capabilities where we can send this out with some that will be announced at a later time. The second client-facing report, the third page of this report is the detailed portion. This will give you a listing of all the protected systems based on the whether it's a server type or a desktop type. That will include the boot VM screenshot. In addition to that, we'll have the date timestamp, as well as the auto verification, whether it passed or failed. For that, this will all be listed for the report window that you set on the parameter screen. There'll also be a column and data to show you the backup size for each of those protected systems for that time range. And then also the actual health history over time as well for that range as well. So you'll see indicated by the different colors, whether it's green, successful, red, whether it's troubled or warned. Those are all indicated here. And, we included a legend because we wanted to make sure this report, even after you facilitated that conversation with them, that's easy to understand for them going forward. So the next one we wanted to kind of highlight was the Client Health Digest. This is another report that instead of, you wouldn't take this to a QBR. The other one is more of a more lengthier discussion to highlight the products and services you provide. But this one is specifically that, hey, I just need enough information without probing and more additional questions that they can have a quick glance to see what is actually healthy and what is not, making sure that my protected systems are good and I can quickly recover from them. So in this case, we do a high-level view here for what the protected system health. In addition to that, we list the protected systems, the particular type, whether it's server or desktop. The auto verify includes the whether it passed or failed, including the screenshot. Last local recovery point, as well as the last cloud recovery point. So whether you're using appliance-based or D2C, we're all covered there. In addition to that, we have the SLA compliance score. What's your actual your health and for those protected systems. Both these reports, the Client Executive Summary Report, as well as the Client Health Digest, they're both white labeled. So if you want to update and add your custom logo there, your company logo, you can have that as well. And it's all going to if you don't want it to reference Axcient, you just want to have it to reference your company, you can do so as well. So this wraps up all the content that we have for you today. We thank you for your time and joining us. Be sure to head back to the main stage to join Topher Bear with ConnectWise's session, where he'll talk about the value of co-managed backup and how it can save you time.